And we're live. Welcome to the All Balls No Filter podcast, live from the cabin kitchen. I'm Zach. He's Brad.
Hello there.
And behind the scenes, we have a man who was once rumoured to be the Stig's secret love child. That's what we're getting at. It's researcher Cal.
It's researcher Cal, the love child himself.
Oh, God, I put my teeth in today. I thought I'd try my hardest and put my teeth in, but evidently we're 35 seconds into it and I've messed up already. How are you doing, mate, anyway?
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, I'd expect nothing less from you, mate. We were stressing over last week, weren't we, a little bit? But here we are and we go as we mean to carry on, I guess.
Progressively getting worse each week, but we're still here. Hey, what have we got on today, matey?
So we have the coaching carousel coming up. We've had some big news over the last few days, quite a few hirings there. So we'll pick those up straight after we visit all 4 games from the divisional round in our balls of the week, before, of course, looking ahead at the AFC and NFC championship games. And we can't forget, of course, I think we've got a good one this week, all of the balls for other major stories in the world of sport. And the return of, for those who listen to the first pod, Wives' Words.
Looking forward to it. Right, we've got a packed episode, as per usual. Lots to talk about, lots to have questionable takes on. But let's get into balls of the week, shall we? Boom, balls of the week. You're up first, my man. Let's go.
I am indeed, with an absolute stormer that took us all the way to overtime. Buffalo Bills versus Denver Broncos at the Mile High, ending 33-30 to the Broncos in an absolute stormer of a game. I mean, we'd expect nothing less from these two competitors. And I think the controversy is there. There always is when it comes to the Bills in the playoffs. There is the controversy, and I'm sure we'll get to it. But I think we just lay it all out as the game took place, really. It was an absolute roller coaster, wasn't it? You know, Josh Allen, 25 for 39 passing, over 250 yards, 3 tutties, 2 interceptions. Crazy. But then on the flip side, you've got Bo Nix throwing 46 times for a similar amount of yards there at 279, 3 touchdowns, interception. What a game from start to finish. It was back and forth. Absolute nuts. What did you think, Zach?
Do you know what? I managed to watch the highlights this. I was busy on Saturday when the game were on. But like I managed to watch the highlights to it, and just there's something about Bo Nix. Bo Nix looks like a year 5, year 6 QB that's settled into his prime. He's peaking at where he is. He's been around the organization for years. He's best mates with the owner. Yet this guy's an absolute stud in what, year 2? Year 2.
2, I believe. Yeah, year 2.
Yeah, it was, year 2. Absolute stud, and seems to just be looking to get better and better as weeks go on. And credit and commiserations to Josh Allen and the Bills, like killed Saban and a divisional rival and everything. But they played so well, yet but Denver just turned up and Bo Nix just ran that game for me. He conducted that offense like an absolute professional. What a guy.
I mean, he's in his second year, but he's probably one of the eldest quarterbacks in the league. I would take a guess at. He was at college for quite a while, wasn't he? But it's worked out for him, hasn't it? Like even just last year when he came in as a rookie and he's commanded the field. Sean Payton absolutely loves the guy, and it just shows in his game. Week in, week out. It's absolutely gutting, really, what's happened to him, isn't he? Obviously, right at the back end of the game there. Ankle injury. I'm not sure if it's a break or a fracture, but either way, he is done. He's out for the season. He will not be playing in the AFC Championship game, and we'll pick up the implications of that later in the pod. But you've then got Bills. Same old story. falling short.
Yeah.
This team that have been backed for how many seasons now? Has it been the Bills' year that they've got to do it? They've got to make it. And I think it's showing now. Well, it has shown, hasn't it? We obviously have heard the news that Sean McDermott's been fired, and we'll pick that up as well. But for Josh Allen, it's the same old story, really. Is we spoke about it actually last week, and we spoke about how actually in his early career he's quite erratic and he's very up and down. And this was probably an up and down game for him, really, wasn't it? Like 3 passing touchdowns, but then on the flip side, you've got 2 interceptions. I think there's a fumble or 2 thrown in there as well. And it's just is the moment too big for Josh Allen, or is he just distracted with his beautiful wife too often? I don't know. I don't know what it is.
So I'm going to throw a bit of a niche reference out here that a lot of the English listeners, will, especially the ones across the M62 corridor, will understand. The Bills remind me of the Warrington Wolves. It's always our year, and that's what the fan base gives year in, year out. It's our year. Josh Allen's going to lead us there. McDermott's going to lead us there. Sorry, and they're fantastic. They're a phenomenal team, but they get to the point of the playoffs, and they just seem to bottle it. Like Josh Allen's never been a quarterback of his kind of caliber, never been to a Super Bowl is balmy, and I just think the McDermott firing is it. We'll get to it soon. I don't want to touch on it too much now. We'll get to it soon with the McDermott firing, so it goes into the other coaching side of things that I want to touch on. But I don't know. I don't know if it was the right call personally at this time, but something had to change. They're not going to change Josh Allen, are they? Because he's the franchise. So
No, and there's only so many times though that the club can have the season they've had. They can have the wins that they've had. I mean, it's been a little bit of an up and down season for them as well. Obviously, they didn't win their division for the first time in however many years. But when you've got a team playing like they do, and they can, I mean, James Cook had 117 rushing yards on 24 carries. You got Dalton Kincaid with 6 receptions, 83 yards, 1 touchdown. Like, there's the quality there. There is the quality there, but they're just not getting over the hump, are they? And I hate that saying myself, but it's the absolute definition of the Bills. They're just not getting where they need to be. And, the Sean McDermott stuff's cropped up the last few seasons, actually. Like, oh, if they don't get to the Super Bowl, is this going to be it? If they don't get to the Super Bowl, is this going to be it? Oh, no, is this year going to be it? And this year was it, wasn't it? He's gone.
That's it. Where does this now lead? Where does this now leave the Broncos? So the Broncos actually playing phenomenally well. A team that quite rightly would have deserved to win the Super Bowl this year. Still do deserve, should I say, to win the Super Bowl this year. They've been phenomenal all year. But their playmakers out. They've got a QB stepping up who's not taken a snap in 2 years. Like, yes, he's going up against one of his former teams, but and research Carl, actually, while we're talking about this, I'm pretty sure, if you could just double check something for me, the last time Jared Stidham started, he threw for like 370 something yards, like, which is fantastic, but that was over 2 years ago. So where does this go? And we all saw with the whole Shadur thing with Cleveland when he got thrown in, he doesn't not been training with the first team. He'll have been training with the first team since yesterday. So he's got like 6 days or something to build up and to get the knowledge of the receivers and the routes and the reads and things like that before the biggest game of his career. And he's like, I saw a stat the other day, and I knew I should have written it down. I saw a stat the other day. He's the first QB to have his first start of the season in the postseason since like 1970 something. It just doesn't happen normally. I were expecting Sean Payton to get Drew Brees on the phone. I'm not going to lie to you. We've seen it once before already this year with somebody else. Coach and QB kind of a handshake. But look, it's one of them. I feel for the guys, I do, but at the same time, no, I don't, because we're playing them next.
It's a tough one, isn't it? It's Stidham's. He's probably one of the better quarterbacks. Let's be honest, the better backup quarterbacks. Sorry, he's definitely up there, at least top 10 backup. I don't know if that's really a stat to scream and shout about, but he's definitely up there. And I know, we always used to speak about Matt Moore as Miami Dolphins fans being like the best backup quarterback in the league, and it is important, isn't it? Like, I can't remember who it is now, but there's the guy who always says, "Oh, you the best, most important player on your team is your quarterback. Your second most important player on your team is your backup quarterback." That sort of mantra, and it's right, isn't it? Because we see it too many
Yeah,
times when the big dog goes down and the team's just not the same team. But Peyton's quality, Peyton's got experience. It's he's come out and he's said Stidham's ready to go, which of
yeah.
course he's going to say, but time will tell, won't it?
He there were a research college come up here. He threw for 500 yards over 3 starts in 2023, which is he's still good. But what still surprises me is that they don't have a day of the week for the backup just to get some reps in with the first team. Like, I know there's a lot to go through, but these guys are professionals. These guys could be training all day, and I think there should be some sort of rotation because of the just in case. And I didn't realize how much the backups didn't have much to do with the first team, like receivers and stuff, until I listened to the Pat McAfee show about it, and obviously that panel's got all sorts of experience when it comes down to the NFL, and they were all saying the same. Like, you just don't get in it unless you're the starter, and it comes from there. Um, but yeah, it's surprising me. But he's got 5 days.
He has. He has. He's got the advantage that they're at home for the championship game, so it helps, I guess. He's there in that vicinity. He's training at that altitude. X, Y, and Z. Other media statements that you want to say, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, obviously, the big news we've sort of touched on coming out of the game as well, or the day after the game, is McDermott's gone. It's an interesting one to see where this takes the Bills next. I'm sure there's a couple of coaches maybe considering they might have signed some contracts a little bit too early.
Not naming no
But,
names, no.
no names just yet. But it's one of those, isn't it? Like, you've got a top tier quarterback, top 5 quarterback, definitely there, available, and that's what organizations have to choose between, the coach and the top 5 quarterback, and we know that those don't come along very often. So decision's been made, hasn't it? And it'll be interesting to see who takes the reins. Could it be the return of Dayball? Who knows? We'll see in the coming days and weeks, I guess. But all in all, a real cracker of a game, and I hope the next 3 games that we've got left of the season are just as good.
I agree, mate. I agree. So, right, balls of the week number 1. Let's move on to balls of the week number 2, shall we? Which is the Houston Texans against the New England Patriots. Now, this finished up 28-16 to the Patriots. And look, for me personally, this is a win-win game because I predicted the Texans to win last week, and I predicted the Texans to go all the way to the Super Bowl. But we did warn you at the start of the episode, guys, at the start of the show. We don't talk a lot of facts, we talk a lot of waffle, and I was waffling back then. All right. But that being said, it's a win-win for me. I either get the prediction right or my team gets through to the next round. And look, we got through. Okay. We're going to touch on Houston to start off with. Houston's D did come out strong, and Houston's D was strong throughout. They were. What let them down was the offense and CJ Stroud. So CJ Stroud comes out 20 of 47, 212 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, 3 of which were in the first half. Now, look, my 2 feature games this week are going to have something very similar about them both, and it's this next statement. Yes, it rained, and yes, it snowed, but it snows and rains for both teams. Okay, 3 interceptions in first half isn't necessarily just weather orientated. It's just bad play, and I think with CJ Stroud now, he's got that experience behind him. He's no longer a quote unquote rookie quarterback. He's still a relatively new quarterback and a young quarterback, but it's not the first time he's been to the playoffs. He needs to mature a little bit and calm down in them situations. The Texans that we saw on Sunday night were the Texans that we saw the first 6 weeks of the season when they went 0-6 for the first six week or whatever it was, and they just weren't the team. They weren't coming out firing, and it puts a bit of a dampener on that Texans D because they were phenomenal. They were great. They did stop a lot of the stuff to begin with. They were getting to Drake May. They were making Drake May fumble, but it wasn't enough when the offense came out. And, look, not only the interceptions, it's the bad passing, the bad accuracy. Like, Cade Stover, I'm just looking at his name here. Cade Stover goes down with a knee injury. Now, it's not been reported yet as of today. It's not been reported yet what damage he's done to his knee. But the pass was that far behind him that his own players had to twist, go down, and he'll basically look at the bottom of his foot when he were going down. It were awful to see, and there were no defender around him. It weren't like he were under double coverage or anything. There was nobody around him. It was just a bad pass, and I just feel like, yes, they didn't have Nico Collins, so they didn't have one of the major weapons. I get that, but still, came out and like a deer, it's like a deer in the headlights situation. And I don't know. I think without putting too much pressure on him and things like that, like I just think he was the biggest factor as to why the Texans didn't do much yesterday on Sunday.
I think the Texans have got a really big decision to make with him now, haven't they? Like, he's played 3 seasons now, and his first season was brilliant, like genuinely great. Texans generally were great that season, but it was CJ Stroud who led the storm. Last season was poor, not great. And then this season, obviously, they've outperformed expectations, and they've done it in style. That defense is phenomenal. But obviously, it's his 4th year next year. They'll have the 5th year option. But realistically, with first round picks, it's that 4th year that really matters. It's the Tua trap, basically. What you can't do, I think, with CJ is give him the money in the 4th year to make him happy and him not progress. We've seen it with Tua after he got the bag. It's not been great. He hasn't progressed. You could argue he's regressed. And I think Texans have got a really tight rope really to walk with CJ, because like you say, he just wasn't good, was he? Like, you can't throw 3 interceptions in the first half against a team that have performed like New England have. Now, I'm still going to die on this hill. New England have not yet played a good team.
I'll come to that. I'll come to that
at the weekend.
No, right. Don't get me started already. Get me started after I've done my next couple of points. We're gonna go to town on this. Because as much as I agree with you, I've got fighting points back, all right? But I agree. Too often they give QBs money too early, and then they get comfortable. Like, they give them it before, when they can extend that 5th year, for instance, they get comfortable with it. And you've seen it happen before. I agree. They've got a big decision to make on CJ. Now let's talk about the good parts. Let's talk about the New England Patriots, right? Drake May, 16 for 27, not ideal, not great, but again, we've not seen the best of Drake May in a postseason yet. I still think Drake May's, again, maturing in the postseason. There were quite a few fumbles as well, which is alarming to see, but it was same on both sides. It's wet and snowy. It is what it is. 179 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And that 1 interception would have bounced up, right? But for me, the playmaker for the New England Patriots is Kayshon Boutte, right? Kayshon Boutte, mimicking the pass that he did earlier in the year, the one-handed grab into the end zone. Oh my sweet! And this is a compliment to Drake May and the offense, and McDaniels in the background doing everything they can to make everyone feel as comfortable. And yeah, we've got big names like Diggs on that field as such as being a leader, but Kayshon Boutte wasn't exactly a 5-star receiver within the NFL. And he's coming and making catches like that, but because Drake May's putting him. We talk about this when we coach all the time, Brad. For people that don't know, it's your first time. Me and Brad both coach in the UK. We both coach a British team, Wakefield District Raiders. And when we coach, or you in particular, and the tips that we give to the QB, sorry, if we're throwing like a sideline pass or a ball into the end zone, you throw it to where your receiver can catch it, or nobody can catch it. And my next ball of the week is in the next game I'm talking about. We have another throw that's exactly the same as that. It just shows, funnily enough, it's the 2 MVP candidates that are being smart enough to throw the ball into a certain area that he can trust that his guy's going to catch. And if he's not going to catch it, ball goes dead. We'll go back for another play from there. Now look, conditions weren't great on either side at all. But I think for what it is, it just got too much for Stroud on there. The turnover battle won the game, and it went in the favour of the Pats, which now they're moving on and they're facing another tough team, being the Broncos, yes, they're missing a major offensive player, being the quarterback. Now, hear me out on this. Before we get started, I fully agree that the New England Patriots have had an easy road up there. But I just want to open a bit of a debate to it. And if you listen in the comments as well, guys, get involved with this comment. But don't jump down my neck saying all this about New England. At least listen to me first, right? They've had an easy schedule, yeah. But if you look hard enough, a team every year has got an easy schedule. We've played the top three defenses in the past however many weeks. We've played the best defense in the NFL last week and torn them apart, right? We're going to win the Super Bowl. Face it. If any other team, let's just put this into perspective. Let's say the Denver Broncos had our schedule. Would everybody be talking about how easy the ride is that Denver have had to the Super Bowl? No, they wouldn't.
Yes.
No, they
Yes,
wouldn't.
They would.
No, because a team every year has an easy schedule, but no one complains about it. But because the New England Patriots haven't had a fucking off season or a bad time, now it is.
Look, no one can fault how well Drake May's played. Like, he's come in his rookie season last year, he's played brilliantly. He deserves the credit that he's getting in terms of the MVP chatter, and he very much might win it. Fair play. But the New England Patriots this season have had the third easiest strength of schedule ever since that record has ever existed. And then they go into the playoffs and they face a horrendous CJ Stroud. And now they're going to go into the AFC Championship and face Stidham.
Yes, but we still got the Broncos defense to face. Yeah, I know, I agree with that, but it's not as if Crass walked into Mr. Goodall and gone, right, I want the third easiest schedule. We haven't asked for it. We just you play the hand that's dealt, right, and that's what's in front of us.
Fully agree. You can only play what's in front of you. Fair play, absolutely. It just so happens that Patriots have always had trash in front of them. So,
hey, look, right, look, I'm not bothered. It is what it is. I have PTSD over Nick Foles and what happened with the Patriots against the Eagles. I'm not running. I much as I said that we're going to the Super Bowl. We have got a tough game this weekend.
Did you see Nick Foles' tweet? Did you see
yes,
Nick Foles'
what a
tweet?
shithouse. What an absolute shithouse he is. You know what I mean?
For those of you that haven't seen it, I'm not quoting exactly, but he basically said, like, Broncos fans, don't worry. I hear the Patriots have a tendency of losing against backup quarterbacks. It's absolutely brilliant. Like, I saw it and it just properly made me howl.
Before I move on to the next ball of the week, what concerns me is McDaniel. Like, he used to rave about Stidham when he were at the Patriots. He used to love him, and that don't fill me with confidence if like ROC really likes him. But he hasn't thrown the ball for a while, so we'll see how it goes. It's gonna go one way or another. It's gonna be really embarrassing, or it's gonna be you've had another easy ride to the Super Bowl. Right, let's get on to the next ball of the week, shall we, Brad? What is it?
Yeah, let's. So, Seattle, oh my word, Seattle Seahawks versus 49ers. I'm laughing at the last sentence you just said, but I'm also laughing at this game. What an absolute shambles for the 49ers. Gosh, I mean, I actually predicted 49ers to win this one. I thought they were going to turn it on their head a little bit. And yeah, it didn't happen, did it at all? They absolutely took it to the 49ers, did the Seahawks. And they basically said, we're going to the Super Bowl, whether you like it or not. So Rams, it's up to you to come and get us. They just absolutely dominated from start to finish. Unbelievable performance on every side of the ball. The special teams starting the game as they did, the defense just dominating wherever they could. I mean, credit to 49ers, like, they've had a good run. They've been banged up, like, probably like no other team this season. And to get where they've got was really, really impressive. But it was just an absolute trouncing. And there's not much more to say about the game. I'll be honest, it was a poor watch. Unless you're a Seahawks fan, it was a poor watch. It's not the sort of game you expect in the divisional round. It was almost like a week too late. You normally get those sort of games in the wild card round, but it was just an unbelievable destruction of what is seen as one of the yearly top teams. You know, you're always talking about Shanahan and the Niners. It doesn't matter that they're always going to be competitive, and they have. But Mike McDonald's come into the Seahawks, and he's absolutely, I say, transformed the team. You know, he's got them playing exactly how he wants them to play. He's got the physicality that he wants to show that he showed when he was down round at the Ravens. And I, I think they're going to be a tough, tough team for the Rams to beat next week. I really do.
This Seahawks team is just unreal. I think if you look at awards and like most improved and things like that, this team are unreal. There's nothing much more to say. In fact, funnily enough, I was talking to our friend Max, tight end, and I was winding him up, obviously just saying that we're going to go to the Super Bowl, and we're going to beat the Seahawks, and he's biting so hard on. Like, have you not seen the Seahawks team? I know how good this Seahawks team is. This Seahawks team will take some beating. The only thing that can beat this Seahawks team right now is themselves, is Sam Darnold, is him staying fit going in. I think they not walk all over the Rams. I think they'll beat the Rams by a good chunk. I just think they're too good for a lot of teams out there. And if they get to the Super Bowl, like, I kind of hope they don't at the same time, because I think if they get to the Super Bowl, it'd be a very one-sided, boring Super Bowl to watch, because I think they'll just run away with it. I think they're just that good of a team right now. They are just they're electric, and they're fun to watch. And if you are a Seattle fan and you've gone through the shit times of being a Seattle fan, now's your time to sit there, relish it and enjoy themselves. And like Research College brought up a really funny stat is that Pinero slide tackle that he tried to do off at rip. Talk about signing of the century in the before the like transfers finished. Transfers, yeah. Is it Rashid Saheed? Is that how you pronounce his name? Off the rip, 90 yard kick return. Just what a way to start a playoff game against arguably one of the favourites to go to the Super Bowl and win it. Just, yeah, wow.
It just set the stall, didn't it? I mean, 24-6 at halftime, I think the score was, and that said everything you needed to say. Like, there was no way you could see it as they were walking off. They didn't look like the 49ers. They, like, heads seemed down. They were just, they're professional athletes. They're training every day. They're conditioned to go out and play regardless of the score. And 24-6, it's not a score that you can't come back from at all. We've seen it multiple times this year, but it was just obvious. And I think they just felt it, I think, from the get-go. Starting the game how they did, controlling the game the way that they did. It was just absolutely dominant in every single way. Now, you mentioned Darnold. Obviously, he had the late injury news coming through. Was it an oblique injury? Am I right in thinking?
Yeah, they were 50-50, weren't they?
Yeah, and they're saying he'd not thrown a ball until that day. He didn't warm up with the rest of the team in the same way. I guess that's the one to watch heading into next week. Is that a thing? Does it stick around? Is it a nagging injury? And Darnold, we spoke about this a couple of times actually, didn't he? The way he ended his Vikings career was by basically shitting the bed. And it'd be a real shame for him to do that this year. I mean, his record over the last 2 years is phenomenal, and he deserves the credit he's getting. He's turned his career around, and he's leading this Seahawks team. It'd be amazing. Can you imagine saying this 3 years ago? Sam Darnold's potentially, Sam Darnold's in a championship game, let alone Sam Darnold is very possibly going to be playing in a Super Bowl.
You wouldn't have thought it, especially at the start of the year. But they're just so good to watch. Research College got to start here actually. That I can't actually believe myself. Excuse me. There were 26 offensive plays called all game, right? So 26 plays all game by Seattle, and 18 of them were runs. If that doesn't show that the ground and pound works, then I don't know what will. It's unreal. Like, it's just good to see, and it's scary to see. But at what point, speaking of Darnold's injury or concern pre-game, you're 41-6, you finish at game. What point do you think about pulling him out of the game just in case? Because I know it's
You
a
could have
playoff
took him
game.
out at half time for me.
Well, exactly that. But at what point? Why didn't they? Like, I understand that he wants to play and everything, but keep your guy fit. And then if they start catching back up, send him back on. Like, I don't know. It's a big one for me. Is that it's
There's the argument, though, isn't the Rams do it, don't they? They never rest their players. In like the last games of the season, they're always like, "Yeah, we'll just go out and we'll play the game and we'll keep the momentum." So I get it, but at the same time, the quarterback's a bit of a different sort of bag, isn't it?
that's it. That's it. Well, that's game 3, mate. Anything else you want to say about game 3 before I move on to game number 4?
No, the quicker we forget game 3, the better, in my opinion.
Okie dokie. Right, balls of the week number 4 is the LA Rams versus the Chicago Bears, finishing 2017 in overtime. Now, this again for me, what an electric game this was. Wow. Right, Matt Stafford goes 258 passing yards throughout. No TDs, no interceptions. Now, that's like chalk and cheese. That's like, oh, yeah, really good. But then, I don't know about that because you're not throwing any interceptions. It was snowing. I told you I'd bring another snow game in. It was snowing. There was snow on the field there. No TDs is a bit, but no interceptions is just shows how clinical he can be. Oh, cheers for that, Callum. Now the comments are going to ruin me. That stat about the Seahawks, by the way, was second half only. Cheers for that, Callum. Comments, research, Cal. Tell him to research, okay? But yeah, anyway, going back into the Bears game. So we're going there. The Rams offense came out, drove really well downfield, letting Williams punch it in for a touchdown in first quarter. And then for me, the second and third quarter, the team just they lost that drive. They lost that bit of oomph about them. There were a few incomplete passes. They weren't really moving the ball on the ground to begin with. For me, it would just that second and third quarter. You could have taken it out of the game, and you'd have probably not even noticed in the highlights. There was nothing much to show from it. But then again, is it because it was outdoors at Rams used to playing in a dome? Did the cold get to him? Did they get a bit throughout it? I don't know. But that being said, that Adams catch in overtime was a thing of beauty, and I've got written down here actually in my notes. Speaking of what we spoke about Drake Way, rule 101 of a sideline throw it to where your guy can catch it or nobody. And as a up and coming QB, as anyone that wants to study the game or anything like that, you watch that throw on repeat, and it doesn't get boring. It is phenomenal how good that ball was. But I mean, we're talking overtime now. There were 4 quarters prior to that. It was a great back and forth game. I do think, for me, the Bears were the better team, but they just didn't execute right, and there were a few mistakes on that. Now, before I jump into the Bears and the Bears stats, because I'm going to glaze over Caleb Williams again, but like when we get into that in a second, one thing we spoke about previously on this show is special teams wins you games. And a lot of people will come out, and a lot of people that don't know football and they'll walk out, oh my God, this guy, his job is just kicking the ball. He walks out there and kicks the ball. Right. The thicker kicker, Mr. Harrison Mevis, came out after 4 hours of football, right, slogging back and forth, booted a 42-yard field goal straight down middle at sticks, and won the game. This is why special teams is important. Because not only, you can run the ball up and down as much as you want, but if you're not hitting them field goals and you're not getting them extra points and you're not getting them game winners, it's crucial to the sport. And for me, seeing that, like, a lot of people moan about when it comes down to like a game winning field goal, but for me, I just think it just shows that all areas of the game is just so crucial. Absolutely so crucial when it comes down to it. Right, we're going to move on to the Caleb Williams Appreciation Club right now. Right, this guy, 23-42 in the snow, 257 yards in the snow, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. One of them were on a 4th down, in all fairness, and it went straight through his receiver's arms. Right, the last one to DJ Moore was the laziest route I've ever seen DJ Moore running in his life. Right, so I'm giving you a bit of credit where credit's due there. A player like Caleb to go from what he was last year to what he is this year is incredible. This guy is just excelling. I I dare you to find me a better touchdown than that Cole Kmet one to send it into overtime. It's got to be the single greatest regulation play I've ever seen. If you were with your mate, right, you sat watching a football movie, and that play happened on the movie, you turn to your mate and go, that never happens. That's the biggest load of squat I've ever seen in my life. That shit don't happen. The guy's backpedaling. He has what looks like the entirety of the 53-man roster running at him. He jumps. He throws the ball perfectly into the end zone for it's like a 53-yard throw or something into Cole Kmet's hands. Wow. If this Bears team continues, I mean, commiserations for ending where it's ending now. I do think you were the better team. If this Bears team continues this momentum, they will be a scary team in the next year or two, or a scarier team in this next year or two. What do you reckon, Brad?
I reckon that, ladies and gentlemen, you've just survived a 3-hour monologue by Zach. But no, listen. Credit where credit's due, mate. Like, you're absolutely right, and I agree with absolutely everything you said. Caleb Williams he's done it week after week, actually, hasn't he? Like, I think the last 3, 4, 5 weeks he's had like that throw, or he's had, oh, did you see that touchdown? And he's just doing it consistently. Like, from what it looked like last year, where it was all like, oh, is he the real deal? Is he a bust? No, you can see glimpses of it. And this year, I mean, Ben Johnson's just worked wonders with the Bears, but with Caleb especially, like, he is firing on all cylinders. This is another game where the Bears have brought it back in the fourth to take it onto that next step. They just fell short. And, like, can you imagine the fairy tale if they were in the championship game? Do I think they'd get to the Super Bowl? Probably not. I mean, they haven't, obviously. But they've had an absolute stormer of a year. They deserve all the credit they've got, especially after the years and years and years of purgatory for Bears fans. It's beautiful to see, but Caleb looks like the real deal with Ben Johnson, and long may it continue. It's nice. It's exciting that, the North is really dangerous. For me, next year, that's looking like the division to watch.
Yep, fully agree with you there, mate. It's good. It's nice. It's nice talking about different teams doing well, like the Seahawks, the Bears, the Texans, are 3 teams that over the past 3 years you probably thought, they used to be good, they used to be great. The old Legion of Boom era was the Pete Carroll era, was the Seahawks, the JJ Watt era was the Texans and all that, and it shows what rebuilding and just perseverance and things go with. But there is balls of the week. I don't want to talk too much. Oh, in fact, I don't know. I've got a fun fact for you, Brad, actually. So, fun fact about the Bears and Rams game. Sean Payton had the Rams put cayenne pepper in their socks to warm the feet up. Because apparently, it's like a reaction that happens to warm your feet up. Cayenne
Sean
pepper.
Payton didn't.
No, not Sean Payton. McVay. This is my head.
It'd be pretty weird if Sean Payton did that.
McVay. My bad. Sean McVay had him put it it's like a talcum powder and cayenne pepper mix in the socks to keep the feet warm.
That's an interesting one. Don't you think this season? I was just thinking about those teams that you were just mentioning. Then, don't you think this season's very much like, there's the meme, or it's not a meme. It was like a picture of, I think you've got was it Case Keenum? You got Foles. Brady was in there, and then I want to say Bortles. 2017, 2018, that really strange year where it was just like weird anomaly quarterbacks. Actually, the year that the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I believe. Just to remind you of that one. Don't you think this year's like that? It's just the same sort of thing again, like with these just random ass quarterbacks.
I love it. It's great. It's just great to see.
Brady? Just different. Who's the Brady? That's the question.
Stafford.
It's Stafford. Which you'd never compare, would you? But it's got to be.
He's the MVP favorite. He's got the experience, the age on everybody else. He's just fucking good. Like he's just good. That for me would be what it is there. So yeah, they're
Shall
the
we
balls of the week for this
quickly
week.
review our? Shall we review our predictions, Zach? See
Let's
how we
get
did.
into our predictions, mate. All right, let's get into his predictions, shall we? Boom. Predictions are now live. Look, Buffalo, Denver. Oh, still get there. Buffalo, Denver, 30-33. I predicted that. Research Cal predicted that. San Fran, Seattle. Research Cal predicted that. Me and you didn't. Texans, New England. My heart predicted that, but we didn't predict anything, okay? My heart predicted that, but we didn't predict anything. And then the LA Rams and the Chicago Bears, both you and researcher Carl predicted them. So that puts us this week on the following. You were 1-3, Carl were 3-1, I were 1-3. I mean,
That's a poor week,
you can see
isn't it,
what
for us?
you can see why he's the brains behind, can't you? Like, it's one of them. But on these predictions as well, guys, if you want to get involved with these predictions, come into our YouTube channel, hit on the comment box below, fire your predictions in for next week when we talk about it. Fire any sort of takes that you think we've missed as well. Everything's coming in hit over there. If you're listening to this, by the way, on audio, we do have a video version on both Spotify and on YouTube at ABNF Pod across all of the socials. Come and find them over there. Get involved with the chat as well. I got it right this week, Brad. I got it right this week. Yeah, come and get over. So I think next year we're going to do these predictions over the season as well and can tally it up. So it'd be nice to get you guys involved, like an audience tally as well. So that'd be pretty cool to get involved with. But this week, me and Brad, 1-3, Carl, 3-1. That's why he's locked in a box somewhere, one of them. Right then, let's get into the next part of the evening. So, the coaching carousel. It continues. Where are we currently? Let's have a look at it. This is the list so far. Okay, so there are 4 coaches being hired. All right, and across them, the Titans have got a coach, the Giants have got a coach, Falcons have got a coach, and your beloved Dolphins have got a coach. How many of them 4 people regret signing the contract now?
I think you've got 2 big names there who definitely regret it. It's got to be Harbaugh and Stefanski. They're the big names, aren't they? They were the big names of this cycle. Harbaugh coaching.
Flip side to that,
Josh
sorry.
Allen.
Right. Sorry, flip side to that. When Harbaugh became a free agent as such, there was reports from Schefter that teams were reaching out to him that had a head coach. Do you think the Bills reached out to him and said, look, if we don't get through to the championship game, we're going to be reassessing? Do you think they reached out to him? Because that firing of the Bills wasn't an overnight. That wasn't an overnight decision.
No, it won't have been. But at the same time, I think if you're Harbaugh and you've had the Bills reach out to you, throwing that out there, I mean, he could have waited as long as he wanted. He could have waited until this game, or he could have waited until next weekend. I think if McDermott gets to the Super Bowl, there's no way he's getting fired. But when did he sign? Just before the weekend, was it, or over the weekend? He could have had another week at least. Researcher Cal's chiming in and he's echoing my exact thoughts. I think it was the Dolphins. The reports are that it wasn't, but considering those reports came out, and then I think it was the next day or the day after that that Mike McDaniel was then fired, that to me makes more sense. But yeah. I don't know. We'll never know, will we? Let's be honest. But I think of these 4 hirings, you've got Harbaugh going to the Giants. It makes sense. It was kind of writing on the wall, really, wasn't it? Once, the sort of dust settled of the firings, it was widely reported that was going to happen. You got Stefanski then to the Falcons, which is interesting. They've got, arguably the best player in football. A lot of potential there. It makes sense. I think Stefanski could do some really good work with the Falcons. Salah to the Titans is interesting. A defensive coach with Cam Ward is an interesting hire. There's lots of reports, and we've seen it this year, haven't we, that the NFL's going through that transition it goes through every 5 to 6 years where, the defense catches up, so everyone wants a defensive coach, and then the offense then starts to outsmart the new defensive strategies, and everyone wants an offensive coach, and it's just cycle. So, I kind of get the attraction of a defensive coach to a point, but I think when you've got first round QB and first pick of the first round QB and Cam Ward, who's meant to be the real deal. He showed glimpses of it towards the back end of the season. Obviously, he needs a lot of time to develop. It's an interesting hire. I don't think it's a bad hire. I think
No, I agree.
is not a terrible coach at all. I mean, any coach that goes to the Jets is going to struggle, in my opinion, but I don't think he's a terrible coach at all. It'll be interesting to see who he brings in as the OC. Callum's stating there in the background he thinks he'll bring Kubiak along from the 49ers. Time will tell. And then obviously you've got Jeff Hafley, DC from Green Bay. Makes sense with our GM hire. Not blown away with that hire personally, but the positive for me is that you've got a GM and a head coach who you would assume are going to be in lockstep, through the whole process, which is what you need, especially if some teams do it differently, don't they? But generally, your GM has the say over the actual personnel, and it's the coach's job to make it work. So if you've got two guys who are working hand in hand and have worked together clearly, hopefully it's a good thing. But just for me as a Dolphins fan, I just wish we could grab someone who's not first-time head coach. I think this has been 7 in a row or maybe 8 in a row now, first-time head coaches. It's just
it's a
let's
tough
get a
one,
bit of
isn't it?
experience for once.
Everyone needs a first gig, but when you're doing 7 up bounce and you realize it's not working, sometimes just getting some experience in isn't a bad thing. But with them 4 that have been hired, the Browns have still got vacancies, the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Ravens, the Steelers, and the Bills. Now, if I said to you at the start of this season, Brad, and do you know what, next season we might do a bit of a daft poll, for instance, or like a daft prediction. If I said to you that Harbaugh after 17 seasons would not beat the Ravens, Tomlin after 19 seasons wouldn't beat the Steelers, McDermott wouldn't beat the Bills, them 3 jobs would have been available at the end of the year, would you believe me? That's the most. Imagine if you'd put a bet on that. Imagine if you'd put a bet on that.
In, wouldn't you?
Exactly. So they're all vacant there. Just having a quick look now through some of the interviews that have been held. So we've got a few teams here that have had a few interviews. We've got the names up on the screen now. So if you are listening to this audio-wise, like I said, guys, YouTube and Spotify, you can see everything, all the graphics up here. Just going to pick a few names out from each one and see what crack is on this. Browns, who's been interviewed so far? The 2 big names for me on this would be Mike McDaniel and Jesse Minter. I don't see McDaniel getting another head coaching job personally. I think he's going back to being an OC personally, but for me,
he's getting a lot of interviews though for head coach, isn't he? He's getting a lot of, and I know they've got to go through the process, and I know they need so many coaches, and they need to meet this rule and that rule. But it surprised me actually how many interviews he's getting for the head coach. I said last week, didn't I? I think he'd be better dropping back to OC, rebuilding that credibility, which I don't think is entirely lost, to be honest. I think people can see that the Dolphins aren't necessarily the best organization, or haven't had the best GM in supporting that organization or leading the organization. But
he's got
potential.
8 consecutive first-time head coaches for the Dolphins. Thank you very much, Research Cal. And coming in there with their odds as well, Grant Udinsky, the Jags OC. He's the current favourite for the Browns. Before we move on to the next team being the Raiders, anything on the Browns interviewees so far?
I just don't think it's an appealing place to go and coach, really. I mean, anyone's going to go for it out there if they're going to get a head coach opportunity, because why the hell wouldn't you? That's your dream. You do it and you try your best. But I just think it's probably one of the least attractive places, maybe even less attractive than the Raiders. I think the Raiders have got a few bits going for them, to be honest. They've got some nice players. You've got the Tom Brady link, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I think Browns is probably the least attractive spot for me.
We're going to move on to the Raiders now, right? And I've seen a lot of traction this past couple of days, today in particular, on X, about the Raiders going all in on Lamar Jackson. Don't know how true it is, but there's a lot of accounts kind of pushing it out there that there's a lot of traction going for Lamar Jackson there. There's a few names been interviewed: Matt Nagy, Vance Joseph, Mike LaFleur, Mike McDaniel again. They're some of the names for me. Chris Schuler. There's some big names getting interviewed for this Raiders job. And to entice these people in for these interviews, they're gonna have to be feeding them some sort of "here's our plan" kind of spiel.
I just can't see how the Ravens would fire Harbaugh and then shift on Lamar. Sure, that would just seem completely backwards to me. Like there was loads of reporting before Harbaugh was fired that Lamar might be going back to Miami, back home, and this, that, and the other. And then Harbaugh got fired, and then that was the last you ever heard of it. On this obviously accounts that I see a lot of. I just can't see. I completely agree with you, but I just can't see how the Ravens fire Harbaugh and trade away Lamar and then try and recruit a head coach. Come coach with us. We've got nothing.
Yeah, same. But I just think there's got to be something. There's got to be something there, like, to entice these people. The Raiders were so bad this year. They were so bad this year. And to have arguably the longest list of names, other than the Ravens at this moment in time, of interviewees who was coming down. If I rang you up and said I wanted to interview you for head coach down at Raiders, if it's a bad team, as much as you might want a head coaching role, there's probably other jobs out there that you're going to get less shit for online and more satisfaction with when you're not getting beat week in, week out because your team don't want to play together. The thing is about the Raiders, sorry, for me, is that they've got so many studs on the team that just don't play well together. It's like the team's a curse. So you put that jersey on, it's like, yeah, I'm going to play for myself, man, just do nothing for the team.
But that's a coaching issue, isn't it? You've got to, if you go in and applying or interviewing rather for like head coaching jobs, you've got to believe that you can go and fix that problem, because you're right, they've got studs all over. And you've got to believe that you're the guy to do it. It's an interesting one. I think there's the sort of overhanging thing of Brady, isn't there? And he's only a minority owner. Everyone says he's pulling all the shots, but I don't know how much he's really doing.
He's all show.
He'll have his nose in, won't he? But I think he's not going to be running the day-to-day. No way.
Well,
but it just
there were
it
there were national championships, weren't
there? To it.
Sorry about that. They were in national championships watching Mendoza, who's obviously going to be the pick because they need a QB for it, and he's a quote unquote generational QB. I know you love that one. It's a generational QB.
Every year.
Every year. So the Raiders there, we've got the list up on the screen now. So we've got the likes of Matt Nagy, like I said, Mike LaFleur, Mike McDaniel, Chris Schuler, amongst other names up there. We're moving on now to the Arizona Cardinals. This is a job that the team just needs a shake-up. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. needs to get out of that team. I think the team just needs kind of binning off and re-rostering completely, because they're on a fast track to be the next Browns, in my opinion, are the Cardinals. Quite a shortish list of names. Vance Joseph being the favourite to take this role, but also Chris Schuler's on that list as well. Jesse Minter, Raheem Morris as well on this. Not much to say about the Cardinals other than good luck to whoever goes in there, because they're on a fast track down, in my personal opinion, which is a shame. And where does Kyler Murray go next year? Who knows?
There's a lot of unknowns with this team, isn't there?
That's it. Right, moving on to the Baltimore Ravens, one of the hot spots for this offseason, now in contention with the Bills. A lot of names on here, a lot of names that we've seen already. Jesse Minter is the favourite for this job role. I'd like Cliff Kingsbury there, I must admit. I think he's got an exciting mind, and seeing him with Lamar would be nice to see, but hey, look, I don't own the team.
It would definitely be interesting. I think he deserves a shot. The thing is with Ravens, like, they're arguably one of the best run organizations in the NFL, aren't they? Like they make decisions in the right way. They've made some questionable decisions standing by questionable people until they've got no other choice. But that aside, I think they do things right. I think they approach the drafts really well. I think they have employed generally very well. They sign free agents very well. They're just a really attractive team to play for. And then you add Lamar into the mix, and it's
Yeah.
a no-brainer. Seeing someone like Cliff would be quite interesting there, but I just don't know if the Ravens would go for a character like him. But he's got his credibility back, like we spoke about. So maybe.
That's it. That's it. All right, moving on now to the Pittsburgh Steelers. This will be our final team that we look on with the coaching carousel. Because the Bills were so recent, we're still waiting to hear some news from there. Again, another exciting team to go with, a lot of potential within there. Who knows what A-Rod's going to do? I think he's kind of waiting for who gets hired next. It wouldn't surprise me if he had a bit of influence in it, but it's one of them. The Bills, the Steelers have always had that mid-round pick, so they've never had a good enough pick to get a generational QB, quote unquote, or a generational player at the top of the draft side of things. So um, it's going to be tough for them going forward, but they've got a few names on the board there. The current favourite for the Steelers is Marcus Freeman per Bet365. Again, Mike McCarthy as well. He's been linked here across numerous sources, and I think that would be a good. I don't think Mike McCarthy, is unemployed next year. I think he's working somewhere. Don't know where, but I think he's working somewhere. And the Steelers, I'm sure he's either from or he's been that way on. He's done a lot of work over that way. I think it'd be a nice fit for him being on that side of things.
So if you're hiring a coach this season and you've got the names available to you, let's not think about the team. This is just you. Do you, first of all, do you hire a first-time head coach or someone with experience? And is there a name that stands out to you?
So this is what I want to talk to you about the Bills situation. I don't think there's enough good names out there that would change my organization. I think the good names out there that are 10-year head coaches are the likes of Harbour and Stefanski, who are still within the age of the career where you think you could get a good 5 to 10 years out of them. The rest of the coaches, I'm still a bit unsure because you see a lot of the time OCs will come up and they'll go as head coaches, and our DCs will come up and go as head coaches, and they're just not good enough, and they know this. Look at Josh McDaniels from the Patriots. He went and jumped in, and he weren't good enough.
Twice.
It's twice exactly. He weren't good enough, and he's gone back down to being an OC now, and he's doing an absolutely phenomenal job of it. I just think for me, if I'm doing it, I don't know. I think your draft is a big part on obviously how old your QB is. If I'm the Steelers, I'd be really worried because you've got a really old QB with not necessarily. There's no QBs in this draft other than what Mendoza and he's and Beck. I don't see many more top 10 NFL QBs coming through or predicted coming through. And what do you do with free agency? Why do you look at someone like Kyler Murray or something like that where you can bring somebody in, or Tua, for instance, but you've got the contract here? I think as a coach, if I'm looking for a coach, I don't know. I think experience beats, but everyone needs to get experience. I don't know. I think if a Cardinals style of team, you take first time head coach. I think if you're Ravens, Bills, potentially Steelers, you wanting that experience to move your team on.
I think you can throw Steelers into the same boat as the Cardinals. They just need a big shake-up. They've not got a QB. Rodgers is obviously a free agent.
Yeah.
I can't see him playing another season. Not at the Steelers, at least. Maybe he'll try and throw his hat in the ring somewhere else again because, let's be honest, he just can't see his own reflection in the mirror.
No.
But I think you're right with the Ravens. I think you're right with the Bills. I think they go for experience, and I think a lot of the others will go for first timers and give them an opportunity to build a bit of a team and see how they go. I mean, does it? The proof is generally it doesn't work, but it does as well. Sean McVay, he was a first-time head coach. He was the youngest ever head coach, I believe, when he took over the Rams. You got KOC, who's done really well in Minnesota. Obviously, a bit of a down year this year, but generally pretty well respected. So it does work. It works, but you've just got to hit on the right person, haven't you?
That's it. I just, yeah, it's one of them for me. I think there's been an alarming amount of head coach roles come available this year, but I don't think there's an alarming amount of good coaches about to take over them roles. So someone's going to have to take the hit on that, basically. So, right, let's move on to the championship round games of this week, mate. We're going to have a look through at the two games coming up as we are getting to crunch time now of the season. And we're going to have a bit of a talk and a chat and a prediction going into next week as to who we're going to see in the Super Bowl. So, up first, we have the AFC Championship round. The New England Patriots are playing at the Denver Broncos. Thoughts, predictions? What do you reckon, mate?
I think if you'd have asked me this, these two teams are going to go to the championship round before Bo Nix was injured, I think I would have said the Broncos. And I'm not gonna I'm not gonna bash the Patriots again. I've said what I need to say, but I think with Stidham at quarterback and Patriots have played well this season, they have, and they're on a roll, and they've got the momentum behind them, and they've got the team they want. I still see a tighter game than they'd want.
Yep.
But I think I'm predicting a Patriots victory in this one.
Yes, I would like to say I agree with you. I do agree with you. I think the Denver defense will hold back the Patriots offense, but I think it'll be a very similar situation to what happened against the Texans. I don't think Stidham will keep the defense off the field enough to allow them to rest, to allow any sort of movement. I think Stidham will struggle. I think especially in the first half, I think that's where they're gonna excel more than anything else, the Patriots, and that's been a big issue for us. We either start strong, end weak, or start weak and end strong. I think if we come out the gates like running this week in the first two quarters, I think it'd be a big issue for Denver because if Stidham can't get going, if he can't get that ball moving, if he can't get that progression and read through his reads, I just think they're going to struggle long term in it and in that game. And it's a shame to see. I mean that I do because Denver have been so exciting to watch this year, and the impartial side of me, they're so exciting to watch. 2 weeks ago, I said the same thing about. Last week, I said the same thing about Houston. My heart says that we're going to win. My head says we're not going to win because they're just the defense is so good. And I said the exact same if we'd have played against Denver last week. I just think the QB's just not there for it for me personally.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's the old saying, wasn't there, a good few years back? It was with the Legion of Boom with Seahawks and Broncos at that same sort of period as well, like defense wins championships. No, complementary football wins championships. And I think you're absolutely right. The Broncos D are up there and they'll put a fight in, but they're going to tire. They're absolutely. I mean, the Patriots themselves have got, I think, the 8th ranked defense, I think, somewhere in that vicinity. So I think you've got the advantage that New England are playing complementary football, and in a championship game that really matters. I just can't. You know what? Like, it'd be great to see Stidham do it. It really would. It'd be. And this isn't a shot at Patriots. It's always good to see the underdog do well. Like, look how nuts everyone went for Foles when he won that Super Bowl, or even just when he got them there. It'd be so cool to see that again, but I just don't see it. I see Patriots taking this one. I don't think it's going to be a walkover, or if it is, I think it's going to be sort of garbage time touchdowns. I just think I just don't see a way that Patriots don't make it this year now.
I agree, but that worries me because of the next game. The Los Angeles Rams and the Seahawks, which is arguably the Super Bowl that everyone wants that nobody can have. Okay, right? It's that page 3 model that you look at in the paper and you know you're never going to have. Right? It's that. It's on paper the most exciting game I think of the past few weeks in particular. I think it's got all the especially with how good Seahawks are at the moment with their momentum. It's got all like the marks have just been an absolute stormer of a game. It could be a record-breaking game for all different types of reasons. For me personally, I think the Seahawks are too good. I think the Seahawks beat the Rams. I think they're beaten by 2 touchdowns at long run. I want the Rams to beat them because if we do get to the Super Bowl, the last team I want to play is the Seahawks because I fear for our Super Bowl party if we are playing the Seahawks. I'm coming down with a bit of an headache already. I think that it's just one of them. It's just one of them. What do you reckon on that game, mate?
It's really tough to call. Probably the hardest game of any. Obviously, divisional rivals. They played each other twice. I think they've shared the spoils in that. I'm sure they both won one each in that. It's really, really tough to see. I think arguably as an all-round team, Seahawks have probably edged it. I just think the experience of McVay and the experience of Stafford could edge this one out. I think you might end up with Darnold, bless him. And again, I'd love to see the underdog go to the Super Bowl, but I think the lack of experience in these sort of games could really matter. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to predict a Rams victory, and the Super Bowl will be a replay of New England and Rams, a replay of 2019 with Rams taking the Super Bowl.
Okay. I like it. So there is predictions for the championship round coming up this weekend. Hopefully, we're in for a good weekend of football, and we'll be reviewing it next week on the pod as well. So guys, let us know in the comments below whether it's on socials, Instagram, Twitter, and all that jazz. We've got the socials everywhere at ABNF Pod. Let us know your predictions as well, and or head over to his YouTube channel and do the exact same there. We're going to get into our next segment of the evening, one that I'm looking forward to. We're going to get into wives' words. Right, Brad, wise words. Take us away. What is it? What's today? And let's get it up and have a look.
So, Wives' Words is where the three of us ask our better halves a question relating to the game of American football. This could be absolutely anything about the game, about teams, and we ask them to anonymously answer the question. And so we haven't seen this, we haven't seen the answers. And what we've gone for this year is a nice, simple one. All we've asked them to do is this week, although it is the first one this year. So this
Touche.
week, we asked the girls to guess the team name from the logo. So we wanted the full team name, and the example I gave was Miami Dolphins. So location and mascot. Now that'd be too easy, so we've not used the Miami Dolphins. The first one we've gone for is the LA Chargers logo. So Zach, if you haven't already, can you bring up their responses?
It's already up there right now. So the wise word guess the logo with the LA Chargers. Bolt on the screen. Just for any confusion, is the LA Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers would be the name there. So we have the North Carolina Thunderbolts. It's a college name and a half. That's a high school name and a half, should I say. We have the Seattle Thundercats, in brackets, definitely. And then we have the Chicago Flashing Bolts. So
okay, which one's your favorite?
Which is my favorite? The North Carolina Thunderbolts all day long.
I mean, the North Carolina Thunderbolts is probably the one that is probably the most believable.
Yeah.
Now, I am just thinking, though, Seattle Thundercats. Now, that's a mega team name, that is. Thundercats.
You don't just think
I love that.
The Scream Friday Night Lights. It's just high school football names.
Yeah, they do.
It just screams high school football names. It's great. Anything standing out to you that would like make you think, oh, you're better ass, said this one?
You know what's interesting, actually, just before sort of doing that, is that all three have almost, if we get rid of the North, have actually located accurate team locations, first of all, which is impressive. I would go for...
In my head, I got my three there.
I think North Carolina Thunderbolts would be from my household. I would say Chicago Flashing Bolts would be from your household, Zach. And the Seattle Thundercats brackets definitely, I'm not sure what that bit's about, would be from researcher Cal's. They're my guesses.
See, they would be my guesses also.
Cal, can
They
you
would be.
please in the chat reveal the correct answers? Anticipation, waiting for him. Researcher Cal is
Here we
typing.
go. Look.
Thunderbolts is from Cal's house.
Oh,
Thundercats from mine, and we nailed on Flashing Bolts.
wow. Okay,
Oh,
okay. 1 out of
interesting.
3. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. But
Interesting.
after the next logo, we should quickly just 2-second chat on these logos because there's a reason why we chose logos this year, this week. You got me saying yeah now this week because last time we did a like a ruling one, and we want to kind of help out. Oh, Brad, your camera's gone. Oh, you're still there. Yeah, but just we get this back up here. Oh, there we go. We got you
What else?
back up and running now. Don't know what happened there. We had a bit of a technical issue, but we're going to get into the next one now, which will be the next logo that we sent to our lovely better halves, which is who, Brad?
So the next logo we sent, again, we tried to keep it interesting, not too obvious. We went for the Houston Texans logo.
So with the Houston Texans here, we have 3 possible answers. We have the Texas Bulls, which it's relatable.
Yeah.
We have the Pennsylvania American Bulls, and then we have the Texan Bulls. So we have the Texas Bulls and the Texan Bulls.
That's tough. 2 very similar ones there. The Pennsylvania American Bulls is an interesting one. I'm not quite sure where the Pennsylvania American bit comes from, other than maybe the star for the American bit. But
Yeah.
I think the link to Texas and Texan is obvious. It's the star from the Texan flag. The Lone Star, isn't it? I think they call it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
See, for me, go on. Sorry,
Go on,
you
Zach.
go.
You go first.
Oh, okay. So for me, I would say Texas Bulls, my household. Pennsylvania American Bulls is Cal's household, and the Texan Bulls yours. Now the reason why is because I think my household would have seen the bull and gone down the cowboy kind of route, Yellowstone kind of route, and would more know Texas than Texan. And if I like, you know, that's the way I'd have gone down with mine anyway. What about yourself? What's your view on this one? And then we can get Carl can get them ready to send in.
I think. So mine, I feel, is confident with the geographical knowledge. So I definitely would go with Texas or Texan. I'm going to go Texas from my household,
Right.
just because that is a location, a specific location, whereas Texan is what you would call somebody from that location. I'm going to agree with you on the Pennsylvania American Bulls being from Cal's household, and I'm basically flipping ours, I think, and
Yeah.
Texan Bulls from yours. That's where I'm going.
Oh, so Texas Bull is
Zach.
mine. Pennsylvania American Bulls is Carl's, and Texan Bulls is yours. 3 for 3 on that one. Right. Just right quickly on these logos. It just goes to show that the logos can mean absolutely nothing. So there's some logos that have got the name in. I wanted to touch on that. Like, at what point with your logo, with your branding, if you were creating a team and you were creating a logo, would you put your location and name on that for reasons like we're showing now? If you're new to the sport and you're looking around and you're like, well, I don't know who half these teams are or where they're from or anything like that. Would you include your like geographical location or name or something on the logo that kind of told you where they were?
I like having alternate versions personally. So like I like having a version where you can include the name and the name is branded, and I like versions where you can have that without. Um, I also there's a few teams that do it quite well where they have like alternate logos. I know the Ravens, for example, they've obviously got the Ravens head, but then they've got their crest, which
Yeah.
I won't pretend to know the full background about. My friend Gaz has probably told me a million times, but I like that. It's like something that's unique to them. It's not their main logo, but it's a branding that links to them. I do like that. I think I would say no, especially in an American sport such as the NFL, where those teams relocate so often. Think about the Raiders. Think about the Chargers. Their logos don't have the name in them, and when they relocated, nothing changed. Literally nothing changed in terms of their logo. You've got the Rams who relocated recently. Their logo, they have changed their logo since, but they sort of like tweaked the colors and things both
Yeah.
times they've moved. But I like that the Raiders, it's still the Raiders. We've just moved a little bit, which is weird for UK fans to get their heads around. And I still find it bizarre. But I think, no, without the name makes more sense to me, I think.
Yeah, and I think from just being a fan for so long and watching the sport for so long, I'll look at a logo and I'll know straight away. But you put a basketball logo in front of me, and I've got no idea at all um, as to what's what on that. But it's one of them for me. I can kind of see from a layman's point of view if you were looking around. Let's say Miami's going to be a hard one because the Dolphins are such a recognizable team. But let's say you've been to Miami on a holiday as a kid or whatever, and you start getting into the sport and you think, oh well, I went to Miami as a kid, and you start looking at the NFL list and you don't know who's who because I don't. I agree because you don't want too much of a cluster logo, but I would just see what your view was on having that. But that's wise words, and they're bringing a bit of sense into and a bit of realism for us into the game what we followed for so long. And I'm very grateful that they're taking part in it. I must admit. Going to move on now, mate. On to our next little feature. We've got a couple of features left. We're going to move on to all other balls, where we're going to be talking about all sports from around the world. I'm going to start, if that's all right, mate. I'm going to talk about the AFCON final. Have you seen this, by the way?
I haven't. I haven't.
Right.
I've read
So,
about it. I haven't seen it.
player protests, an awful penalty, and fan uproar. That was the headline that I read about this. I'm like, you've player protest, you've got me hooked. Right, so the final score, it was Senegal, Morocco, 1-0 to Senegal eventually, right? Deep into added time, Morocco were awarded a penalty after a VAR review for a foul. Okay, I've watched. I read this at first. I didn't watch the game. I decided I'll watch the highlights and I'll watch this foul. It looked like a givable foul. It looked like any other foul that you'd see in the Premier League. Probably a bit soft, but it looked like a foul. Went to VAR, went to the little screen thing outside at pitch, give it as a foul. Anyway, Senegal's players and coaches were that in disgust. The coach has gone on the field, told all of his players to go off into the changing rooms. Pulled all of his. This is deep into added time. Pulled all of his players off. Right, took them onto the sideline. You've then got Sadio Mane stood on the field, who's part of obviously the Senegal team, stood there trying to get people back onto the field just to carry on this game. Right. So anyway, he refused to quit. He's getting his teammates back on the game. Anyway, 15 minutes later, they get the game back underway. This penalty happens, right? Morocco's star, their top tournament goal scorer, right? By a name of Diaz, his surname, right? Raheem Diaz, I think his name was. Anyway, steps up, right, and tries Panenka style kick. And I'm not sure if you've seen one of these where they'll run up and they'll try and chip it down middle. Not go for either side, they'll just try and chip it down middle. Well, Senegal's goalkeeper just stood there and caught it. Right. Roll on, roll on like 3 minutes later into added time. A real nice, um, a real nice counter attack from Senegal hits. They're scoring absolute beauty of a winner. and send Morocco home. So like Senegal moaned about it. They got awarded a penalty against them. They kicked off for 15 minutes and still won the game. It was balmy to watch. If you get a chance to watch the highlight, I mean, I've probably missed some bits out of there. I'm not a soccer fan, guys. I'm really not. I watch it, but I don't worship it like some people do. But it was just balmy to see. Apps, and I wonder what the repercussions are going to be of him taking his team off the field. But that for me is story one. I'm glad I'm glad you've not heard it, so you can give me an honest reaction from it. But that's the first story of balls of the week this week. All the balls.
I just think it's nuts. Like, so what I'm trying to get my head around here is when they scored the counter attack goal. Had the team come back onto play at this point, or were they just
Yes.
playing like to an open field?
No.
I'm just visualizing these 11 players, just like, yeah, this is going to be easy.
So the team that scored was the team that went off the field. So the team that got awarded the penalty.
Yes, I see.
Right, was Morocco. Senegal kicked off about the penalty being awarded. They jumped off the field.
Yeah.
They came back on 15 minutes later and scored a counter attack. It was balmy, absolutely balmy of a chain of events. If you get a chance, I would highly recommend watching the highlights. It's absolutely just skip forward to the last 5 minutes. It's fantastic. But yeah, that is all the ball story.
Finish on this. As soon as we click finish, I'll be going to watch that.
Yeah, please do. Give me a view on it. Please do. Over to you, mate. What you got?
Yeah, I've got an equally balmy story myself. So, big fan of hockey, ice hockey. We're talking about here. I say big fan. It's not something I sit and watch all the time, but to watch live, I absolutely love. I've been to a few college games out in the States when I've been out there skiing. Seen a few games over here. So we're just a little bit north of Sheffield. So I've been down to see the Sheffield Steelers a good few times. And I love it. It's such a great sport. It's action-packed. There's still one bit I just don't fully get my head around, and it's the fighting. Like, it's brilliant when it happens. It's not as often in British ice hockey as it is in the States, but it's great fun when it happens and you're watching it. But I just don't quite get it. Like, it happens. It's kind of okay that it happens, but it's not okay that it happens because then they go to the penalty box and stuff anyway. But in a recent game between Florida Panthers and San Jose Sharks, there ended up being this like off the play hit, and it just sparked a bit of a melee. So there's like various skaters involved, and the Sharks goalie, and I'm going to have to try and pronounce this one because it's a tough one. Alex Nedeljkovic, I think. I hope I've done that justice. Actually, it felt all right. He steps out of his crease and he gets involved, which is like pretty nuts anyway. So you don't normally get goalies like dropping their humongous gloves and stuff to start scrapping. So the Panthers keeper down at the opposite end sees this keeper get involved and start having a go at one of his mates and basically says, I want a bit of that action. So drops his gloves, skates down to the opposite end of the ring. And there ends up just being this goalie on goalie fight, which I did a little bit of research on this because I was intrigued. And I think the last time, if I'm remembering this right, there was a goalie on goalie fight was like 2020. So like 1 in every 6 years, if you like. It's just absolutely balmy. And then you ended up having 5-minute penalties for fighting, 2-minute penalties for leaving their creases to participate in the fight. But then, despite that brawl, neither goalie was actually ejected, and both finished the game. Like, it was just nuts. So the other goalie, again, I'm going to try and pronounce this right. Is Sergei Bobrovsky, I think. So we've got Sergei Bobrovsky and Alex Nedeljkovic. I hope I've done that. Feels good, actually. I'm pretty pleased with that. Yeah. But yeah, like goalie on goalie scrap in the rink. Again, I just read that story originally and then went and had a little look at the highlights of it on X. It's just balmy. You've got a multi-Stanley Cup winner in Bobrovsky. He's not had a single fight until this one. Like, not a single one. But he's just thought, oh yeah, I can see my mate getting pummeled by a goalie. I'm going to have some of that. Why not? Not done this before.
It baffles me. It baffles me the fact that they allow them to fight on ice. I love it. I'd love to go watch the hockey more over here, like at Steelers or in Leeds and stuff. I would love to go, and I keep saying to myself, like my barber, he he goes and watches Leeds all the time, and I keep saying I'm going to go, and then I can never get around to going. And I really wish I'd like to get into it more. Don't really fully understand the rules at the moment, but like I would just love to get into it more as a
You know what
sport
I'll
as
do?
such. But
I'll do a plug for the Steelers. I'm not sure what Leeds Knights do. They're probably a smidge more local than Steelers ish to where
yeah,
I am, but the Steelers do. I'm pretty sure they still do it. They do £5 nights, so it's £5 a ticket. It's normally the Wednesday games that they have, and it's just it's great.
yeah.
Like get your big 2 pint things, and you've got all like chuck a puck at halftime to try and get it in the middle. It's brilliant. Also, is it Leeds
I know.
Chiefs research? Cal's saying not Leeds Knights. I always thought it was Knights, but clearly not.
I thought
But
it was
yeah,
nice.
I'd recommend it to anyone. Is researcher Cal making a mistake again?
Again, they must be Chiefs. He won't.
I think, is it not one of those subsidiary teams? So like the Sheffield Steelers, you've got the Steel Dogs, haven't you? Which is like the team below.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's those two. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I'd recommend it. Ice hockey is so cool to watch.
It used to be the Chiefs.
Love
He
it.
did get it wrong. He did get it wrong. It used to be the Chiefs. Cal, you're gonna get sacked soon,
Brad
pal.
one,
I'm telling you, I'm
researcher Cal
joking.
nil.
Right, so they are all other balls for this week. Two nice, interesting stories. One including a ball, one including a flat ball. You want to say a flat ball like a puck? You know,
Sure,
is
sure.
right. We're going to move on now to our final section of the evening. One that you guys at home, we urge you to get involved with. We would love you to get involved with this, and that is Carl's conundrum. Okay. So we're going to move into Carl's conundrum now. And on the screen now, if you are watching on YouTube or Spotify, if you're listening to this through Apple Podcasts, last week's Carl's conundrum was including trade ups, which two NFL teams have held the first overall pick in the NFL draft the most times? And the two teams were the Indianapolis Colts and the LA Rams. So thank you very much for that, Carl, and well done if you got this. If you got it right, thank you for taking part. If you did, I know we got some DMs about it. We're going to bring up another Carl's conundrum for next week in just a second. I want you guys to get involved with this, think hard, and yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know what your thoughts are on this. So, Carl's conundrum for the following week, or for this week going into next week, is which current NFL head coach has more career rushing yards than Bo Jackson? And just for reference on this, Bo Jackson has had 2,782 yards. So, which current NFL head coach has more career rushing yards than Bo Jackson? Let us know in the comments. Let us know wherever you can comment. We will be putting this on our socials. It'll be on our stories and it'll be a post. So head over to all of our socials to get involved with this. I'll plug it again at ABNF Pod across all the socials there. Brad, anyone sticking out to you at this moment in time?
No, really not.
No, same.
These have been interesting. I know last week's I didn't get, and I love a pub quiz, so I haven't cheated. And it was literally just earlier today. I said, right, research Cal, what are the answers? And he told us, like, yeah, it makes sense,
Yeah.
but I didn't know. No, I'm trying to blast through all the head coaches now, but my mind's a blank at the minute. But it's one I'll refer back to. So yeah, make sure you hit us up on socials and leave comments on the YouTube channel, on Instagram, Twitter, wherever you wherever you're sort of hitting us up at ABNF Pod.
We could narrow this down because there's only 22 head coaches at the moment because there were 10 vacancies. so we could narrow this down.
We've hired 4.
20, yeah, it's okay. So with 26, we've got a 1 in 26 chance of getting this right. But I'm only joking. But yeah, get involved with this, guys. Please, this is more for you than for us. We want you to get involved and get engaging with us. So yeah, that is it, mate. That is it for this evening's pod. It's been a fun one. I've really enjoyed this one. To be fair, it's had some good points in it. That being said, guys, I know I've plugged it a few times prior about all the socials and everything. Just can't stress to you how much it really helps us out if you get involved with the algorithms. Not going to plug it again. You've already heard it once. So just head over and go do your stuff. But from myself, Brad, and Cal, we want to say thank you for spending your evening, your day, or wherever you are with us today. Brad, anything from yourself before we sign it off?
Yeah, click subscribe. There's my plug. Thanks, everybody. Really enjoyed it. Thanks, Zach. And thank you, Cal, as always.
Perfect. Peace.